So if you saw the episode of Amabishop that played out today, if you are not even sure, it was about Jehovah's Witness, and there was the famous Ukozi FM DJ Tata, and he had his story. He was a member of the church for a very long time. I did see, now when I actually went back to some of the guys that I know from the Durban area, they had him in the picture and some of the conventions that he might have attended and stuff like that. And so his story is quite a very deep one, and he was very passionate about actually getting people to know. If you listen to the episode, you will realize he's extremely knowledgeable. It was an amazing experience meeting him, an amazing gentleman, to be honest with you. We exchanged numbers, we talked. It was great. It was really great to meet somebody who is at that level, because sometimes it's like, these deceptions happen to the average person. Now, to see someone who is all the way up there be part of this type of a storyline was quite an interesting one. Now, my part was not that long because they had to cut the episode extremely tight. I do feel like there was a lot more that I spoke about that maybe, they should have chosen that part. But they did really try to tighten the episode, because there was, they had presented the story of Celia before. And so now they had to, at first they were asking why the big interest back into Celia's episode, because they had done it, I think, in season 2. And highlighted a little bit. I'm not part of Amabishop, just to be very clear. The highlights were her story shows the control. So I wanted to just tell the part of the episode that you didn't see, and the storyline of what was being portrayed, or what was the intention. Because on this particular one, I was pretty much aware of the contents. And once we started, when I spoke to the producer on this one, we found Tata's testimony video, and it was a very small video on YouTube and stuff. And that's how he actually ended up on the episode. It's that his story was so compelling, and I was like, you know what? This shows that other angle. At first, Celia showed the narrative of what happens with the leader, but it ended there. Now, let's bring in the documents that people don't know anything about. Let's bring in someone so the story was more the doctrinal side of things. And hey, y'all know, your boy deals with doctrine. And so unfortunately, they had to cut the episode tight. I absolutely understand, but it's not a hassle. We are very much grateful. You give me one sentence, I'm very much grateful for being able to just say that statement that I said there and think. Now, I did say a lot more than that. I think you understood. But if they had played the other things that I said, it would have led the story completely to a different route. There were other things that I did mention that fit with the storyline, with his storyline. So I had prepared something that I was going to say, but then when I listened to his story, I tried to align the things that I was going to say alongside what he had been presenting with the subject matter of birthdays, like the separation of family and what. So I had prepared material right there during when they were talking. So I didn't even have much, but it was extremely well presented. I wish there was enough time. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough time, but we are grateful. Yeah, just 1 minute to say the gospel, the truth. It's enough for us. And so I wanted to bring you guys into that, to say what was the other material that I didn't get time to actually present. So if you listen to the story, remember the direction of the story was how the doctrine of the church is just cultish. It's like almost like a cult, right? And so I'm going to try and present it for you here. I have a couple of slides, about nine slides out of the book that I was talking about, Shepherd the Flock, that you heard me and Tata actually talking about. It would be actually great if we could have Tata again. But we'll see if he's available. We've been talking about doing one where we can dissect and break down this further. He's extremely passionate. So, extremely passionate. Like you have no idea. It's hard to find a celebrity or a person who's popular, as passionate as he is about apologetics. And so this here was the document. And so let me start it from back here. In the introduction, I did once, Brother Nimrod brought me in. He asked, there's a certain book and stuff. And this is the book that I made a presentation of. It's called The Shepherd, the Flock. It is a book that is secretly held at the Jehovah's Witness Church. And you can see it's called Shepherd, the Flock. The part that we are talking about, the secrecy part. Now, the reason why I say it's a conversation, another thing that people might not understand, Amabishop is filmed like a conversation. Eh? Yeah, it's not scripted. They don't script how people are going to talk. So you might be thinking, they should have spent more time on that. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's a conversation. And so you have to understand, conversations can go thingy. Yes, we do wish that we had spent more time on it, but it's a conversation, unfortunately. This part here, they focus a lot more on this, which for me, this was an intro to everything else, okay? It was an intro. It was meant to be an intro to everything else that was after. So you will see the part that I was talking about. This publication is copyrighted and confidential. It is issued each to an appointed elder. It as an elder is deleted for reasons either than than moving to another congregation with the favorable recommendation, meaning he's not recommended. He should turn over the publication to the congregation service committee and to be destroyed. So this is not a public document, okay? It's a secret document only for the leadership. Now, that's why I say, I wish they had not focused on this so much, because there was a lot more other things. This was only just to kind of open the conversation, right? To say the documentation is secret, so not everybody knows it, right? And then get into the contents. So what was then the contents that comes after knowing this part? You go forward. For instance, in this particular area here, and there are other channels that actually do talk about these things, and they kind of deal with these things in depth and so forth, right? You will note, let's say, for instance, if wrongdoing has been established by serious question have been raised, and the body of the elders should appoint 2 elders to investigate a matter promptly. For example, there may be just 1 witness in such cases. It may be appropriate for the witness to encourage the accused to approach the elders, okay? And they quote a verse. The elders can then allow the accused a few days to approach them, in which so they sit back and wait for them and them. It may not be advisable for the witness to confront the accused. For example, the witness may be extremely timid. A victim of is never required to confront the accused. If the accusations involve you see that part? Child according to C section what. So then there's another section that then will address the particular topic at hand, right? According to this particular part that they actually think. Now, they have all these rules about how people should approach if they were done wrong or what. I just thought it was kind of weird, but let's go on here, right? It says, however, the witness approaches the where is that part? If the accused, whatever the witness approaches the accused or not, the two elders appointed should speak with the accused regarding the accusation. Okay, so there is no mention of authorities like police or anything like that. It's just talk to the elders and thing. Okay, and if the accused denies the accusation, the investigating elders should try to arrange a meeting with him and the accuser together. And if the accusation involves child, see another particular section 14. If the accused and the accused is unwilling to meet with the elders of the accused, continue to deny the accusation, and a single witness and wrongdoing is not established, the matter cannot be handled judicially. When did the judge become the one that decides that? That's so ridiculous. The investigation elder. So basically, if there's no witness, and what is the chances that you will have a witness in this case? So this goes back to why Sister Celia's story was back on this episode. It's how the doctrine of the church shapes itself, right? It's shaping itself in order. Shapes itself in order for victims to remain victims. Yeah, it's your own thing. Because that's what they're doing by saying, yeah, there needs to be witnesses, and if we can't corroborate the story, it can't be handled judicially. What? Why does the church, why is the church the one that's deciding that? The earlier part, the elders can consider their testimony while such evidence is acceptable is to establish guilt. It is preferable to have two witnesses to the same occurrence of wrongdoing. What if you don't have a second witness? Okay, so this is the document I wanted to present. This is the part I wanted us to deal with in that episode. But as I stated, timing was very short and everything. And so that's number one. Number one, they are requiring witnesses and what. But anyways, so you can hear how this book is literally hindering. It's hindering victims from having their justice. Now, we move forward. This is a part, we will come back to this part. Picture number 3, we'll come back. Now, you'll remember he did mention, when he was on the show, he did mention Uguti, there was this thing of separation that is very big over at this church, right? When he mentioned that thing, I came, this is a part that didn't make it, but I understand why they cut it, because if I had made this presentation, it would have led to another conversation. But what was the part that I wanted to present that I felt fit into his story of his family and so forth? We presented this part here, chapter number 11 of Shepherd the Flock, which is a secret book held by the elders of the church and not for the public. You will note here in this book, it's talking about baptism, when people are supposed to be baptized. He says, remember the separation thing, né? Out of loving concern of others, a baptism, so basically the heading here is baptism of an individual with a communicable disease. And they tell you what they mean, HIV, AIDS, and so forth, right? So a baptism candidate may inform the elders that he has a communicable disease, such as hepatitis, blah, 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 blah. They then put a section that you can read to further understand what they mean, communicable disease. Okay? In so, the coordinator of the body of elders should inform the candidate of the following options regarding the immersion. So basically, they're encouraging separation of the brother because he is ill. Yeah, we can't baptize you with other people. That's what literally they're going to say. So basically, if you read actually even which part? He says he may attend the conversion or assembly, listen to the baptism talk, and then be taken to a stream or a river or a sea to be baptized. He must be baptized alone by himself. Seclusion, separated from other people. When the church is all about community, he may attend the convention or assembly, listen to the baptism talk, and then be baptized in his hotel. In a bathtub. Or in his private home where there is no large tub that can be used in his purpose. And then if he is sensitive to others because becoming aware of the fact that he has such a disease, does not want it to become known of others to others, he may attend the convention and assembly and so. Basically, they're going to just say, you know what, he can attend, but then decide to be baptized separately. This is the part that I was attaching to that topic. Ne? Then they say their brothers performing the baptism should be informed of the health issues so that they can decide whether this would be a risk that they would be willing to take. Yeah, that's literally what it goes on to say. And so these were some of the things that I had wished we had enough time to communicate on that episode to show that the seclusion goes deep. Okay? It goes extremely deep. And unfortunately, we didn't have enough time because the show was given an extremely tight slot. And in that slot, they couldn't then go on to kind of like edit everything in. They only try to fit it so that it isn't too long. So we did try to actually have these things in there, but I wanted to bring it up here so that you can understand how the storyline was. He had issues. Tata had a story. His story was attached to his family and so forth, and then it came all the way to Celia's story of the husband and what the mandem was doing and all that, which was actually very risky for the child. And then when you take from that all the way down to the storyline of what you saw in the presentation. So, which is where I was bringing this particular document that you see here. So that's what it was supposed to be like. That's what the other part that unfortunately got cut out. That's why you don't hear me say bye-bye. I didn't say bye-bye. You just heard a very small section of it, and then I was actually out. But the goal was to show some of the parts of this document that actually contribute to this seclusion. Okay? This extremist doctrine. This doctrine that is very much disregarding of other people. I'll give you just another one just now. This is chapter 14 of that thingy. Providing spiritual assistance to victim. Yeah, this is a lot of assistance, you can tell. Now, the part that I found quite interesting here is they say when shepherding. Okay, wait, is this the part? The elders never came. Okay, no, wait, not that part. Shepherding important. Where is that part? Where is that part? Okay, a spiritual shepherd, elders should be good listeners. And while some victims may prefer to not to talk about the past abuse, others have found it helpful to talk empathetically. Okay, empathetic. Elders who can listen, then listen. Okay, so basically they can listen to this. So then they quote a couple of verses there, and then go to say, though it may be necessary for the elders to ask a few tactical questions to help an afflicted one express herself, they should avoid probing unnecessarily and repeatedly into the details of this particular subject matter. However, discuss biblical examples of others who endured a difficult childhood, and that's their resolution. Just quote verses. So here you don't hear anything, particularly about whether, and remember here they're talking about victims, maybe kids or whatnot and stuff like that. And so wanted to show this, and I wish we had had enough time for us to present their perception of how to deal with people's hurt. Yeah, it's quite astounding. It's quite shocking, to say the least. But hope this video does find you well, and I hope the message did get across. If not so much, don't worry. We do hope that we had more time, but unfortunately time was against us because the slot for this particular season for Amabishop was very tight. And so in case you are wondering, Ricky quoted one thing and then he never commented. This is the other things that I was meant to come and bring up or to talk about. And so that is that. It's Ricky. That's my review of this particular episode. And also in addition to what you might have not seen in that particular episode, since this episode was supposed to be at least about 45 minutes in the shoot, unfortunately, they had to cut it down to 30 minutes. A lot gets lost in 15 minutes. You have no idea. It's Ricky. Hope you all guys have a good one, and I'll see you later.